In the small desert town of Noorabad, nights were darker than ink. The sun would set behind the dunes like a giant fiery coin sinking into the sand, and a blanket of darkness would swallow every hut, every alley, every rooftop. For years, the townspeople had lived like this, lighting oil lamps, burning dry twigs, and praying for a miracle. Among the many families living there was an orphan boy named Aahil. He was 12, thin as a reed, and curious as a desert fox. He lived with his grandmother, Dadi Gul, who sold clay pots to earn their livelihood. Their home was tiny, made of mud walls and a roof patched with palm branches. But Aahil loved it because it was filled with stories, especially the stories his grandmother told at night when she lit her old oil lamp and shadows danced on their walls. One evening, a sandstorm swept over Noorabad. The wind howled like a wounded beast, shaking doors and windows. When it finally passed, Aahil discovered their lamp shattered on the floor. "No more lamp?" he asked, worried. Dadi Gul sighed. "Oil has become expensive, beta. We can't afford a new lamp. For now, we sleep early." But Aahil could not sleep. Outside, the night pressed in like a heavy curtain. He missed the warm glow of the lamp, the stories, the comfort. "How do people live without light?" he whispered to himself. The next morning, he walked to the market, hoping someone might give him a broken lamp to fix. But the shopkeepers shooed him away. "Oil costs more than gold these days," one muttered. "No one buys lamps anymore," another complained. Aahil wandered until he reached the edge of the town where the desert stretched endlessly. Suddenly, he spotted something strange, small pieces of broken glass glimmering in the sand. Curious, he followed the trail. It led him to a half-buried object, a curved metal plate. He brushed the sand off. It was warm from the sun. "It catches heat," he murmured, turning it in his hands. Then an idea sparked in his mind. He ran home and placed the metal plate in the sun. After a few minutes, the plate grew hot enough to boil the water he had spilled. "That's it!" Aahil exclaimed. "If the sun can heat this metal, maybe it can give us light too." For days, he experimented. He found more scrap metal behind an old mechanic's shed. He hammered the pieces into shape using stones. He polished them with sand until they gleamed like mirrors. He tied them together with old wires. Slowly, a curved bowl began to take shape, a reflector. Children mocked him. "What are you making? A broken cooking pot? Going to catch the moon next?" But Aahil ignored them. When he finished the bowl, he placed a small candle at its center. At sunset, he lit the wick. The reflector caught the flame's glow, magnifying it until a wide arc of light spread across the sandy floor. Dadi Gul gasped. "Aahil, you made this?" "It's only the beginning," he said proudly. "We don't need oil. We just need to think differently." Word spread quickly. Soon, neighbors came to watch the strange new lamp that used almost no oil and burned bright enough to light an entire room. But Aahil wasn't satisfied. "If the reflector can make one candle brighter," he thought, "what if I use sunlight instead of fire?" For the next week, he experimented with glass bottles, water, and sunlight. He learned how to bend light through clear water. He crafted small lenses from old jars. At last, he created a simple contraption, a water-filled bottle placed above his metal reflector, arranged in such a way that sunlight focused into a sharp beam. One afternoon, as he tested it, the focused beam hit a piece of dry paper, and it began to smolder. Aahil jumped back in surprise, then burst into laughter. "It works! It really works!" That evening, The town elder, Hakim Sahib, arrived at their home. "People say you are making strange lights," he said, stroking his white beard. "Show me." Aahil demonstrated his reflector lamp, then explained his sunlight magnifier idea. The old man watched in silence, his eyes widening. "Child, do you realize what you're building?" he whispered. "This could help the entire town. We no longer need to depend on expensive oil." The next day, Hakim Sahib gathered the townspeople in the central square. Aahil stood nervously beside him. "People of Noorabad," the elder announced, "this young boy has found a way to bring us light without oil. He has invented something remarkable." A murmur rose in the crowd. "Impossible! A child did this. Show us." Aahil demonstrated again. When the reflector lit up a large portion of the square, the crowd erupted in cheers. From that day on, the town supported his experiments. Blacksmiths gave him scrap metal. Shopkeepers gave him broken jars and bottles. Even the children who mocked him earlier now followed him eagerly, helping wherever they could. Together, they built bigger reflectors, more polished surfaces, and stronger frames. Soon, Noorabad had sun lamps fixed on rooftops, walls, and courtyards. Some focused sunlight to cook food. Others lit homes at dusk. One reflector even warmed water for the mosque. The town became famous. Traders visiting Noorabad carried stories of the boy who made light from the desert sun. Travelers stopped by to learn from him. Engineers from the city came, astonished at the simplicity and brilliance of his ideas. Months later, an officer from the capital arrived, offering Aahil a scholarship to a big engineering school. But the boy hesitated. "I can't leave Dadi Gul," he said softly. His grandmother placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "Beta, your light no longer belongs only to Noorabad. You must learn more so you can help the world." Tears filled his eyes, but he nodded. On the day he left, the entire town gathered to bid him farewell. Hakim Sahib handed him a small piece of metal shaped like a sun. "Always remember," he said, "invention begins where comfort ends." As the bus drove away, Aahil looked back at Noorabad, glowing under dozens of sun-powered lamps. He smiled. "All this," he thought, "because one night we had no lamp."